Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Week in Guns, brought to you by Patriot Patch Company and Primary Arms. This show offers commentary on all of the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Matt Larosiere, and I'm here again with my co-host, Shawn Herrin. Shawn, what's popping?
Not too much, man. Just hanging out, having fun, snapping necks and writing checks. I don't know. Stuff.
Snapping necks and writing settlement checks.
Cash and checks. Snapping checks and cash and checks. Cash and checks and snapping necks. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. I'm great.
Next, writing bad checks.
How are you?
I'm doing all right, man.
Good, man.
Doing all right. It's been a long week so far, and it's not over.
No, not even close. It's hump day.
Hump day. Well, shit, we shouldn't have said that because God knows when they'll see this.
Yeah, good point. It could be next hump day or the previous hump day. We don't know.
Yeah. And also, like, in what culture is it the hump day?
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
You don't know our culture.
Yeah. Don't assume you know us and don't assume our gender.
Yeah. Stop it. Stop doing that. Well, anyway, we got some, is there any good stuff out on the horizon? Is there any things that were available to exchange fiat for that we can?
Yes, actually. Yes, there is. I noticed over at Primary Arms, or actually you noticed over at Primary Arms, that they've got polymer 80s.
They got polymer 80s and they got them on special, but this is top secret, guys. They are not allowed to show this price. Look, see here, it says in red, the price will only be shown once you add to cart. This is a high security issue, all right? And let's see why. Why do you think they might have done it like that? Why are they trying to keep this from us?
I don't know. Let me add to cart.
Let's figure it out. Because it's on special.
$99.
99 Dunlops, ladies and gentlemen. That is, I think at current market inflation, that's about 61.75 McDoubles. That's
yep, absolutely. It's like 6 sushi. Goodness. But yeah, so first of all, polymer 80 right now is like really hard to get.
Yeah.
And Primary Arms is like, oh yeah, no, not only do we have them, but we will also sell them to you for cheaper. So $99.99 is a fantastic deal. And that's for the PF 940 V2 or the 940C, which is equivalent of like a 17 or a 19.
I just spent more than that and I had a dealer account. So wow. I'm almost upset. But, but I wanted the blue one. You know, I was being very particular.
I have that one on a 34.
Oh, it's so blue.
It is.
Yeah.
Cobalt blue. I love it. But yeah, so Primary Arms, you go check them out. Thank them for supporting the show. And you can find out more and buy these incredibly inexpensive polymer 80 frame kits at frn.deals/PA.
Yep, frn.deals/PA. Pay them a visit. All right, so moving on, we have got the ATF's rule change. We talked about this a couple weeks ago when the document was leaked, and now, as you all know, it's up on the ATF's site. I did a video last week. Last week's Fudbusters video was on, just general guidance for those of you who want to submit a comment. But I had a lot of messages saying, why can't I submit a comment? Well, interestingly, as of right now, they still haven't posted it to the Federal Register, which is just kind of funny because, if you check the ATF site, it's like they're acting like it's already up, and they've even got a comment that says, or a link that says click here to comment, and you click and it just takes you right to the regulations.gov homepage.
Nice.
So it sounds like they were just like, because Biden gave them that 30-day window. So they were like, oh, hold on, we got to finish our homework right now. No, they won't check.
Dang. All right. So was it as terrible as many thought it was going to be? Is it? I don't know. What is it?
Well, so, we talked about the leaked version, and it's mostly the same. So it's pretty bad. It basically seems to be that they're seeking to completely nuke the 80% market, like vaporize it, eliminate it from existence, seems to be what they're desiring to do. They've made a couple of structural and technical changes. They fixed a couple of grammatical errors that I was hoping that would get left in, but they added a little bit more. So remember the last time we were talking about it, we were saying how there's basically no receiver definition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so now they added in 7 factors that can be used to kind of divine what ATF might think is the receiver But of course, it says no single factor is controlling, and they can give more or less weight to any factor that they want to.
It's like Scott Pilgrim and the 7 factors.
Yeah, so it's still junk. It's still really a nightmare. The definition of frame or receiver, especially with respect to partial and incomplete firearms, is a total goat show. They're requiring activity that the Gun Control Act does not even imagine, like such as specifically. It seems to suggest that whenever an FFL comes into possession of a homemade gun, right, that doesn't have a serial number, that the FFL just kind of has to serialize it right away, in a very specific way, and that's just so daft with respect to how it really works, because most FFLs, right, are like old dudes.
Yeah.
If it's like somebody drops off for X purpose a Glock 3D printed Glock lower, they're not going to know the first thing about how to like get a metal plate onto it and serialize it and engrave it. So they're just going to refuse to touch them.
Right, 100%. But hold on, how many 80% things actually come into FFLs at any,
right?
Like ever?
Right? No, this is like they spent pages upon pages upon pages talking about how, these people, they can make an 80% and then they can sell it or they can pawn it, and then the pawn shop, they're gonna sell it, and we don't know what's going on, right? And it's like, dude, how often?
If the pawn shop, even if someone brought me something with a serial number, I'd be like, no, go away. Seriously. Like, I don't even have time for this.
I'd take it.
Well, there's certain cases where you absolutely can.
Yeah.
Like if it was a 3D print, no, go away. Stop.
Yeah. I mean, you can take it, but yeah, like a 3D printed thing. Why?
Yeah.
That's the main thing, would be like, why?
Yeah.
It's probably worth more as the parts kit.
Right. Exactly.
So, you would probably make more money selling it as a, like just feeding the 3D printed frame to a saw and then selling it as a parts kit.
Absolutely.
Than trying to sell the 3D printed gun. And I mean that, that's probably not justified, but that's the real state of affairs. High points are worth much more when you destroy the lower receiver. Have you noticed that?
Well, yeah, because the 3D printing craze, like high point parts kits are highly sought after.
Exactly. And so you literally can profit by buying straight up high points if you get them at the normal price and cutting the receiver. So it's utterly bizarre. As usual, it's a federal agency inventing a problem and then endeavoring to solve it in the most manic and clown car way that they possibly can.
Yeah. I also noticed they added silencers, or not added, but it is now.
Yeah. Well, no. So they're making the silencer have a frame or receiver. And this could be, you can be of two minds about it, right? Like most people engrave the tube anyway.
Yeah.
Some people engrave the end cap, or, had engraved the end cap. And basically now ATF is saying that the tube, or whatever is most like the tube, is going to be the frame or receiver. And like, that's the part that you need to serialize. And this was, it seems that this was in response to a lot of people, people just can't stop asking the ATF questions.
Yeah, about like, I don't know what, solvent traps.
Right. So it was like, do I need to mark all of my baffles? Do I need to do like, and so this was to kind of streamline and get rid of that. But it's, I don't know. I don't think that much about the silencer, frame or receiver part of it. It's kind of like, this is something that was only broken in the minds of the most horrible hall monitor types.
Yes.
So I'm just like, okay, why?
Yeah.
I don't care if my end cap is marked or if it's my, tube. Really, I don't know. What do you think?
It's just, I mean, this is where we all knew it was going. Like the second that these things happen, we all knew it was going to go here. It's going to be this thing where the government, the oppressive government, tries to outlaw this thing that they're uncomfortable with for no real reason. And then the community, the manufacturers, the hobbyists, the tinkerers, the makers are going to figure out ways around that, which is where we are right now. So then the oppressive government is going to come in and try to add things to regulate the workaround. And then the maker community is just going to work around those things. And it's just like this whole thing where finally, like, if you think the word gun, you have to serialize your forehead.
Yeah, no, and it's like a way I always refer to it is that the government is a hammer, right? They kind of, and it's not, well suited to dealing with reality.
Yeah.
And so they come in like you're saying, they're like, stop doing that. And then we're like, okay, we'll stop doing this. And we start playing around right here next to it. And then they come and hit that with a hammer. Right. And it's like, they think finally we got it, as if there isn't the next thing, right? Directly to the right of where they just hit with the hammer.
Yeah.
It's really stupid.
All right.
Also, your video's frozen. I don't know if.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice. I'll fix it here. But all right. So let's say that they finally get it through. Like, what does that mean for? It seems like chaos, right? Like, I don't know how anyone would ever comply with any of this stuff.
Well, with which part specifically?
I mean, most of like personally made firearm stuff, the PMF stuff, like the serialization of like all these crazy different things. Like, how does that even work?
Well, so for the most part, we don't have to deal with it. Because that's the thing, is everything is hinged on the privately made firearm coming into the possession of the FFL. Right. And which, like we were just talking about, that's kind of like a bizarre thing. Like, why are you doing that in the first place? So it's going to create that like culture of wanting to keep everything away from FFLs, just because, I mean, frankly, even if I'm not worried about it being serialized, I don't want Joe Gun Shop messing around with my frame to try to like smash a metal plate into it somehow.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's going to be an effect, but mainly, and they even recognize in there that people are going to be able to continue making guns at home, right? Because the law does not cover that. It only covers FFLs. And so they make a point of saying, oh, this is all, hinged on it involving an FFL. I still think what they're doing is beyond the limitations of the law substantially. But how it looks like they're trying to approach it is, instead of like outright, requiring everyone to serialize their guns, they're just trying to extinct the most popular, easiest ways of making a receiver at home. So they're thinking, oh, well, if we just get rid of the polymer 80s, then, well, we don't even have to worry about it, right? That's what they're thinking. They're thinking that eventually these guns will all sort of fizzle out, and eventually they'll come into the hands of an FFL. So eventually they'll all have serial numbers.
Right. Which, I don't know, man. And so, like, is this really just a punt then? Like, this is a scenario that probably never happens. And if they're going to start doing applying regulation to a position that actually never happens, like what the heck? Sorry about the noises there.
That's okay. Is that you finding in your camera?
Yes.
So it's probably happened, and there's nothing that legally prevents it from happening. Aside from, well, I mean, what's funny is the way they talk about it. They're saying, oh, people are doing this like as a business to make them and then sell them to FFLs. We can then do it, but that's illegal, right?
Yeah,
so,
not true at all.
Ooh, yeah, it's already illegal. So, the only way that this would legally happen would be like, if I made a gun, decided I didn't want it, and then, instead of turning it back into a parts kit, I went and sold it to the pawn shop or whatever. And then they were willing to take it, which I'm sure has happened somewhere.
Probably.
I'm sure.
But yeah, like, okay, so.
But who cares?
They're making the rules for the people that are too stupid to live.
Well, but on top of that, though, not all guns have serial numbers, and that's what they're all fixated on. So like they're pretending that these guns not having serial numbers, is this big huge problem. Well, before 1968, they didn't even have to have serial numbers. There's tons of guns that are in circulation that are very usable firearms that have no serial number.
Right.
And you mark those as NSN in your book, and it's normal. It's not a big deal.
That's the stuff that I would actually take, because that I have no serial number. Like, I don't want your 3D printed nonsense. I have my own 3D printed nonsense.
Yeah, I can squirt out my own nonsense, my own purple, Mac 11.
Right.
Like I've been wanting for a long time a Cooey. It's a Canadian bolt action 22, and they're like,
oh yeah,
in Canada they're hyper popular, and here there's a bunch of them here, and they all came in before 68 from imported from Canada, and not a single one of them has a serial number. I know there might have been some later models that had them, but virtually every Cooey, and this is, don't get me wrong, guys, this isn't a very interesting gun, but virtually every one is an imported firearm with no serial number, and I love that, and I want one.
That's pretty funny, man.
Yeah.
All right, so now my question to you is this: I watched your video on Fudbusters about how to.
Did I look cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
How to comment on these things on the Federal Register, like how to do it, and it discusses how to write this stuff, like how to introduce yourself, how to prove authority, things like that, which is super, super important and super valuable.
Thank you.
But now the question that I and other stupid people throughout the United States, implying that I am stupid, like, how do I take that? How do I take this here specifically? And how do I apply that to this comment? So you have taught me how to leave the comment, how to write it effectively. But now, like, what are the issues specifically in this that I need to address in that? And how do I address them? And what's the legality of addressing those things? Like, I think that's the part. So there's two parts. One, how do I do it at all? How do I do it effectively? But then how do I actually address the things that are here that are lame?
Okay. I get what you're saying. And this is something I struggled with, because I wanted it to be like kind of an evergreen thing that people could go back to whenever it was
totally,
whenever there was a new one. And I also don't want to just like write people's comments for them, because I kind of spoke against the forum ones, because I think that the individual creativity and everybody reading them and like looking at the things that they have problems with is actually going to get us a better result in the end. So what it would be is anything that you saw in there that you were pointing out, and even if you misread the rule, like even if the way you read the rule is different from how the ATF intended it, if you read it that way, it's still valuable, right, as a concern, and they should address that and like openly say, okay, no, it's not like that, right? And then that's on record. So what you do is you just read it, and everything you see that's a problem, you just like take a note of it, right? Like, so for me, it's, hey, where in the Gun Control Act do you guys have the right to, compel a FFL to mark a gun that they didn't manufacture? Like, where is that source of power?
Right.
Where
and
in the
allowed as even if what if they're an 01?
Right, exactly. And so where's your source of power for that? Where is your source of power for deciding that when the law says frame a receiver, for y'all deciding that it meant a frame or receiver or anything that might one day become a frame or receiver? And then like something like, you're supposed to actually provide clarity when you do these rule updates. How is it providing clarity to take what was an actual definition and then change it into whatever I think, and also, like a receiver is everything and nothing at all. Pointing out, like saying, I've been working with firearms for this long and I felt pretty confident about what was the receiver, and after looking at this, I have no idea, what it is, like, because of these reasons, because you like take a sentence, this sentence makes me believe that any single part on a firearm like could be considered the receiver, For example, this gun, that like, would it be this part? Would it be this part? Would it be this part? How can it be that I don't know what's the receiver? Like, how could it be that you're doing your job when you've made it so that I don't know what the receiver is until you've seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, that means you haven't done your job. It means you failed at your job, and this is a failed, like, you're completely failing to provide clarity. You're taking something that was workable and now making it nightmarish, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So do I, as an FFL01, have to make up unique serial numbers? Does every item that I serialize have to have unique serial numbers, or should I just use the same serial number on every single one?
They do cover that. You have to so it's the first part of the serial number is an abbreviation of your FFL number, and the second part is a unique number with no like specific it's just a unique number. You can't use the same one twice. So, and the reason they're doing that is so that there's only one use case for this. And this shows just how stupid serial numbers are. And I don't know why anyone's obsessed with them. If they recover the gun, right? So they've got the gun in hand. How often are you solving a crime, like trying to figure out what happened, and you've got the gun in your hand, right? For one. Like, usually when you got the gun in your hand, it's because you peeled it off the guy, right? So crime is solved. Number two, you've got the gun. What you can then do with it is go back and see, who made the gun, where it went. The only purpose that ATF is so obsessed with serial numbers is to try to punish FFLs for, like, just harass them, really, because what always happens is it goes to the last known possessor, which was not the criminal. And then the ATF goes and harasses the store. Like, you remember selling this gun? No, that was 5 years ago. Well, we don't need all your stuff. We're going to want to look at it. And then they like just give you a hard audit and look through everything just because they're, there's no purpose. Yeah. It doesn't do anything. They don't solve crimes this way.
Right. And is this really such a huge problem? It's just, dude, the plain and simple fact is the word ghost gun sounded scary to people who don't know anything.
Well, no, the ghost gun thing, it's the exact same thing as the Saturday Night Special ban of 1968. They didn't like that inexpensive arms were coming in from Europe, and it's funny? They spent a long time saying, oh, we need to redefine what is a frame or receiver, because when we wrote that definition in 1971, we didn't ever see any striker-fired handguns. It's like, really? Then what did you ban? Right? Half of those guns that were coming in were striker-fired. Like, no, it was all revolvers. Everyone was carrying revolvers back in 1971. Like, I couldn't believe they actually, like, with a straight face said in this thing that, oh yeah, no, in 1971 we were more used to revolvers and like break open shotguns. What a like bald-faced awful lie, right?
So crazy.
It's embarrassing.
It is. It really is.
Well, it's like, and that's just like everything is coded, gun control language in there. Like, one thing they actually injected a grammatical error, which was like previously they said they were referring to the AR-15 because they're upset with this. They're obsessed with the split receiver, issue, and they're like, at that time the AR-15, which was made, they said like exclusively for military use, right?
Right.
And which is like, oh, really? Like, why would you, like, really? And they changed that to, because they knew it was dead out wrong, so they added primarily or something like that. So they changed it to, which was primarily exclusively made for use.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's just like, why? Why are you saying that? If like you're just not trying to poison, the dialogue in some way.
Ridiculous, man. So I guess it'll get put in the register, and then we'll have a period of time,
90 days,
in which to register our comments.
But you were asking about the legality of a comment. I mean, I know there's like some things to be concerned about. Like, you can't generally, you have to like disclose if somebody pays you to write the comment, and you, like, sometimes that can become a legal question. But like, I don't know many, like, I'm not aware of many like hurdles. They're public comments. You can write literally whatever you want. The thing to be aware of is that the ATF is empowered to ignore your comment if you swear at them.
Yeah. So when I said legality, I meant like legal challenges to their proposal, like that, because I'm just not smart. So like I don't. Maybe I read this and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know how that's going to affect me. I don't know why that's bad. I don't know why that's wrong. It's almost like there needs to be like a version of crib notes. Like this line says this, here's why it's bad. Don't copy and paste this, but articulate this in your own way. But then they would just copy and paste it.
Yeah.
It's like a form letter. So
well, and that's, and like there is a point to those form letters. Like if you just know you generally oppose this, and you like really don't have the time to do it, which I understand. Like a lot of you guys out there work for a living,
right?
So yeah, you're the type of person that the form letters are for. Read the form letter, make sure nothing in it seems odd to you, and if that's what you want to go with, then go with it.
Fair enough.
Like there's a purpose to those. I just want to encourage people to, like there was a guy who sent me a comment who was he was an engineer, and he was like, I don't really know if I should write my own comment or just use a form letter, and he like asked me to write one, and I'm like, no, I'm dumber than you, dude. And he was like, I was an engineer, and this just really doesn't make sense to me, like this part of it. And I was like, sounds like you got a great opening sentence to your, comment.
Right.
Like, just tell it, that sounds valuable as hell. Like, and I don't tell people what to write in their comments, right? But I was like, I said, I'd be very interested in hearing, about what a engineer and a machinist thought of, right, their definition of readily convertible. That's the whole purpose of this, so that people out in the community who know their stuff about all of the different little facets that this touches can give their their background and their advice. So that was a really, and that's what I mentioned in the video. Like, you don't have to have a postdoctorate in guns. They're not giving those out anymore.
Yeah.
You could be like a taxi driver, could have a great perspective on, transporting something. I don't know. Could have all this stuff that I can't even think of. And that's why I think everybody, everybody probably has something. Everybody in our world probably has something semi-unique that they could add to it. And
I do agree. Here's my fear. My fear is that people are lazy. And we know this. We know this to be fact. So not only is it my fear, but it's a founded fear based on fact. People are lazy. People may not want to be lazy, but people have jobs, they have lives, they have kids, they've got soccer practice, they got to go do the thing with the stuff. And then the thought of a huge number of people who like guns or people who shoot guns that may be interested in logging a comment about this stuff, the thought of them sitting down and line by line going through this, but before having done that, going through and reading the GCA and which passages of the GCA are very specific to these things, and then clearly articulating comments in a letter that they then paste into the comments field. To me, I don't know, maybe I'm a pessimist. Maybe I don't have enough faith in people, but I just don't see that happening. And that worries me. Like, not using form emails, 100% don't do it. But I also worry that this is above what a lot of people want to put into it.
It might be. But there's a lot of value in like these different nuanced approaches that individuals can bring in, without doing a tremendous amount of background research, but just with their guts. And, we do still there will be organizations that, have legal departments that will be writing those, very heavy hitting, deep dive analyses on the, on the law and the history right behind it. So that's going to happen. And the ATF is supposed to it's not supposed to work like, we responded to these comments because they had the most likes, right? Like it's supposed to be, you raise this serious concern, and so we have to respond to it. So that's why I guess I'm not as worried about that. But I just think everybody should do what they want.
I think
you
they
know,
should too, but
yeah.
that getting someone to click like on a YouTube video,
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah, they don't like to do it.
And how many steps is this past that? And it worries me. And like,
Yeah, but what's your necessary conversion rate, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like a 1% conversion rate might be outstanding
right.
here.
Here's what we need to do.
Everybody prove Shawn wrong. Smash right now. If we get more than 1% likes, it'll prove Shawn wrong.
Exactly. I would actually love that. So then I think, how can I solve this technologically? And I'm like, here's what you do. You go through this line by line, you figure out which parts of the GCA are a counter to whatever their proposals are. Then you figure out what the other lines are and what common sense is counter to what the proposal is. And then you have a bunch of smart people write 10 to 15 responses to that in short sentences that are nice. And then you programmatically go in and you have them select check boxes for each point that they want to talk to. And then it just randomly assigns one of the sentences written by a smart person into that. And then they can copy and paste that into their comment, and bada bing, bada boom, smarter United States.
I mean, that would be that places a great deal of faith into the intelligentsia, which but I guess if it's the pro-gun intelligentsia, they're cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really cool, but then that's that's going to be a hard thing to build.
I just built something exactly like it yesterday for We Like Shooting.
Really?
Yeah. It basically the same technological concepts, but yeah, the code was easy. Took me
the code would be easy. But getting everybody together to agree on like what points are we responding to and what format and stuff like that.
Right. Well, it doesn't. They could even be like counterpoints. It doesn't even matter, really, right?
Yeah, and that sounds like a good idea for like a project. Like I feel like a nonprofit could do that. Like that could be their whole thing that they do.
Yeah.
Analyze regulatory things and give their whole like, and like have a pro and against on each side, and you click the thing and read what each one said. That would be dope. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, totally agree. Anyway,
someone should do that.
Yeah, not me though. I got too much to do already. Okay, so that is, I think we've covered this
Yeah, we're on our first story still, and we're 32 minutes in. Dope.
Next story.
Okay, and Shawn, this is about your boys. Say hello to your future heroes, your benevolent overlords at the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. So this is in Colorado.
Yep.
A bill is heading to the House. And what it seeks to do is create a $3 million bureaucratic agency to act as a clearinghouse on gun violence data, creating like PSAs and stuff from the data. What's going on over there, Shawn?
It's just chaos, man. Dogs, cats living together. It's I don't know what's going on in Colorado. I have pretty much accepted that in the next 5 years I have to move.
Oh man, it's brutal.
I think I'm just going to move to Florida. Everyone else is in Florida.
Yeah. We'll need to increase the size of our dirt compound, but if we all pull together, we could be communists.
Yeah, done.
We can make a gun rights commune.
But we'll be better commies.
Yeah, we'll be the good commies.
No, I don't want to share any of my shit with anybody else. I just don't want the government to F with me. That's pretty much it. Really.
Yeah. I've always I've thought about that, the idea of a corporate town. It is communist in like a very strict sense, but it's also the opposite of communist in a few different senses.
Yeah.
That's something that's one of my daydreams, is that I'd like all of the, pro-gun people to get it together, buy, like 1,000 acres somewhere in Central Florida, and then just incorporate a township. And it's just the sheriff's department is just all of us.
Yeah.
And we how would they deal with that? Probably violently, as they did with the other people who tried that, but it would be fun.
For We Like Shooting, we had Patreon for a while, and then they started making some weird decisions. So I just wrote our own thing, and we call it the Gun Cult. And the Gun Cult has a bunch of members, and these members, they're always talking about we should just all buy a compound somewhere. Right. And do exactly what you just said.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. It would be cool there. Like the thing about just having like random people that like guns is most gun owners like hate other gun owners.
Right.
Like all the all the people in the community hate each other behind the scenes. Yeah, it's just
Well, that's why the corporation, it would be part of the corporate like bylaws to only sell land like to new shareholders.
right.
And then like the board of directors gets to decide on new shareholders. So it would be really kind of like nightmarish in a lot of ways, but very interesting in a lot of other ways. So it would be like, oh, Fuddlington wants to buy the, you know, the back five. Well, yeah, we'll take your application and bring it to the board. And the board's like, no,
Don't call us, we'll call you.
no FUDs.
Because it'd be like us, and then
Yeah.
Rob would want to join, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine with that. Like we're buddies, but I don't think the board would approve it.
Well, yeah, it depends on who's on the board. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's the price of progress. It's creative destruction.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know what's going on in Colorado, man. So Colorado does have, I guess, per capita, like a higher amount of people who just go bonkers and kill other people. But to spend tax money on a clearinghouse of information seems so dumb.
This is an odd fixation that the controllers have, is that they like think that, well, I guess it's not odd though, actually. I'll give them some credit. I'll do the devil's advocate thing I do. If their belief is this is true information and having that information out there will lead people to the right decision, right, and they would believe that the right decision is to pass more gun control,
right,
then I don't think it's a bad instinct or like a dishonest thing. The problem is that all of their data is trash. And
that's exactly it. I was like, a clearinghouse of what? Like
yeah.
What are
of
these
garbage?
Be? Yeah, it's going to be
garbage penders.
Yeah, absolute nonsense. $3 million to create it within the state health department.
And then they'd be like, can you imagine like the radio messages?
Oh yeah,
from the Bureau of Gun Safety. Did you know that every gun is actually Satan? We've determined this.
Honestly,
based on metrics.
Honestly, this big focus on always talking about mass killings,
mm-hmm.
It just leads to more mass killings. Like we know this. Like this is fact.
It is known.
It is known.
Yes.
And yeah, this is dumb. I have spoken.
I you know, naturally I couldn't agree more. It just is. I don't know. I have this morbid, like, I don't know what to call it. I'm just very interested in analyzing the stuff they do and like try to put myself in their brain space and think why they're doing it. But that's just like, it's like the risk reward type calculation. It seems clear to me that they just don't. I mean, Colorado is, you know, it's not a tiny state, but it's not the richest state.
No.
Is it like,
we have very, very rich areas,
right?
Like we have places where the movie stars live, Aspen and Vail and Breckenridge and stuff like that.
Right.
And we have college towns, which are, you know, pretty highfalutin. But then we have Pueblo, which is a garbage dump.
But so then isn't that like, you know, what does that say to the people of Pueblo, right? When it's like, we're just going to casually toss $3 million at this thing that, well, what's it going to do? I don't know. You know, send the data on the thing.
Let me ask you this. The last sentence of this, I'm going to start by saying, I know that if it comes from the government, it's bad.
Right. Yeah.
But then I'm also going to play a little bit of devil's advocate. So clearinghouse on gun violence data, I am absolutely 100% worried about where that data comes from, what that data says, and if it's actually good and vetted, or if they're just used like guns are cool from Reddit. But they're going to create public service advertisements for state and local programs aimed at suicide prevention, gang-related violence, and other issues. Like those
other issues.
Yeah, like those two things, like suicide prevention and gang-related violence. Like, why aren't you doing that already? Is kind of what I. But then again, I don't know that a television commercial. But then I also say that media is the enemy because we have the 24-hour news cycle in our face all the time. So maybe that some of the stuff, like maybe it does cause one person to think differently. Like they're not infringing on our rights by doing this. But, you know, could this possibly maybe be a thing that's not terrible.
It's possible, but I want to know what and other issues is.
Yeah. Well, you know what the and other issues is.
Yeah.
Guns.
Yeah. Guns bad.
Yeah, because they're going to.
Did you know this proposal could save 41% of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's going to be crap like that. But no, you're right, and there is some good work to be done. Like suicide prevention is a huge thing, and it's the majority of gun deaths, right? Which I don't believe gun deaths are a thing, but they're not real. They're just like birds.
Right.
I mean,
to death with holes that were created by firearms.
Right. No, but like, right. I'm saying the term gun death isn't real for.
Agreed.
Yeah, just because it's not like, what's the principal or the principal distinction? Like, is it sadder when someone gets shot versus stabbed? I don't know what you guys might think. I think it's just sad generally. But yeah, so it's a huge component of this that they misuse to push other forms of gun control, but then at the end of the day, they don't do anything to stop these laws from making it even worse on people who want to seek mental help. They just keep passing more laws that and especially the Republicans keep passing more laws that take away job opportunities, take away just the ability to live a normal life. The moment, if you go to a shrink and they, using the supreme technology that shrinks have, which has not advanced much in the last 100 years, to like misdiagnose you or diagnose you with something that you may have, but, is going to have significant consequences. People are scared of that. And so a lot of people who are just depressed, who could easily be treated, avoid treatment, and then go and kill themselves. Everybody should be able to sit together and say, hey, we need to do something about this. In my opinion, one thing we could all get together on, and like even like make it a pro-gun thing to say like we need people to stop shooting themselves, is jacking up the strength of the patient protection laws for mental health, and forbidding shrinks from reporting on their patients, unless it's in extremely insane circumstances that actually, tangibly would harm another person.
But am I not mistaken that that's exactly what we have right now? And that's why they have introduced red flag laws to get around the HIPAA protections that we currently have.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff that they've done to get around it. It's what we were supposed to have.
Right, okay.
And then they've been withering and withering and withering. Red flag is one of them. There's a lot of state level things that destroy that, that protection. Then the moment the court gets involved and they're able to inquire into these things, right, there can be significant consequences. So, but even if you're in a jurisdiction where there is robust protection, do you feel it? Right? So even just doing something to just encourage people to seek help when they're depressed and feeling like they may become suicidal, making it clear that there's going to be no consequences for doing that, I think that would actually save lives in a real and tangible way. There's just one downside though. We don't get to ban any guns if we do that one.
Truth.
Damn.
Truth.
Damn it.
Yeah. So anyway, Colorado sucks.
All right. Next up, we got a feel-good story after all that talk of suicide. We have, and this thing is just really cool. So this is the guys at TFB are covering this. The guy's calling it the S96S. It's a DIY like Stoner 63 with a fever. And it's really cool. So what he's done is he's taken an AR upper, flipped it over, 3D printed a lower, put it on tap, fed the mag into the top of it, cut off the trigger, and then how you actually use the trigger is there's a 3D printed pistol grip that has a transfer bar on the outside of it that basically pulls the trigger on top of the gun. And this has just made it into a, top-fed light support weapon kind of deal. And left side ejecting, which is funny.
So this is from Stubbs on the TFB Discord, who is also the guy who did the BP MVG, which is like quad MVGs made out of
Right.
off the shelf components, which I have everything. I just need to get to work on finishing printing some stuff and getting it all put together.
He also owns a lot of dogs.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So we know he's a good guy.
Multiple dogs on the image.
Yeah. It looks amazing.
It looks really cool. As soon as the files are out, you know what I'm going to make with it?
What?
I have a 416 upper.
Oh gosh, that's
I'm
awesome.
going to use it with that, I think.
So awesome. I love this. I want this.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to make a top fed 416 with this.
I don't understand how you see the sights. Both sights are mounted on the actual rail, but the magazine, when inserted, would completely.
He's got an offset.
Is it
offset? Scroll
offset?
down a little more. Yeah, he's got offset iron sights.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There they are. I see it now. It's wonderful.
Yeah, no, this is cool. I love top feed guns. I love the Bren gun. I love the Chatellero. You know, all of them. They're just fun and cool to use. And I kind of like the face weld you get on them. You don't like got to smush your cheek onto it. You just kind of put your face to the side of the gun, look down it. I think this is awesome.
My favorite quote is that Stubbs said the rifle itself has, and I air quote, violent sexual energy.
It does.
Agreed.
This is true and accurate. But yeah, look at that picture of the receiver, how that transfer bar works. I think people would like to see that.
Okay.
It's the CAD drawing one.
I'm looking. I haven't even made it that
halfway down.
Okay, here it is. All right. Pulling it back up on screen.
That is kind of ingenious. It's not a tremendously elegant solution, but it is pretty slick, I think. You see the little Douglas up there?
Yeah.
That little cam track is how you'll be actuating the trigger with the lower trigger.
Interesting.
It's very cool. And it's funny, on the trigger bar, it's got a scoop to clear the brass ejector. Just the whole thing is you can see if you scroll up a little, two images up from there, you can see it taken apart on the table.
Yeah, here.
Yeah. Look at that thing.
So interesting, man.
You see the trigger bar on the well, what's now the upper?
Yeah, like what? Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, now it's all making sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Crazy.
I need one. This is neat.
The maker community is killing it.
The maker community is dope.
Violent sexual energy.
You gonna make one?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. If he releases the files, I'll pretty much make anything that the files are released on. Let's be honest.
Actually, yeah, I do know that.
Yes, you do.
All right. So next, all right, everybody got your smiles in? Good. New Jersey task force searching for smart guns.
Oh boy.
Gotta get your blood pressure up and going, guys. Can't have you taking naps on me. So New Jersey has longed openly to ban ordinary handguns as soon as smart guns ever come to exist. And in order to help speed this along, they've assembled a new commission tasked with approving customizable smart guns. A gentleman on this commission is called Timmy O. And I just want to read a little bit from this article. O has experimented on firearms since he was a teenager, looking for ways to make them safer. And he has said he was drawn to how the 1911's beautiful design once changed the industry when the gun was introduced more than a century ago. Its improved durability made it a U.S. military mainstay. We should always encourage innovation, said O, founder of this safety company. There's no reason the firearms industry can't advance.
First of all,
you plant.
Yeah. Okay, boomer.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. You plant.
Take your smart gun, put it in your butt with your 1911.
That's where they put them, you know. It's known.
It is known.
Yeah.
You got to keister it.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's like the exposure is all here. It explains that he's on this task force. He owns this company that's trying to sell this trash. They sell holsters that are fingerprint unlocked. Really?
Okay.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
When I'm sweating and I just peed, right? And I need my gun. That's what I need. A fingerprint sensor.
Anyone who has a phone with a fingerprint sensor knows worst way possible to ever do anything in any use case that you could possibly imagine forever.
Right. No, that's exactly what I was about to say. I'm sure that the dingus on my Samsung is way better than whatever, he uses, and it works like 30% of the time.
Wow.
Like, this is preposterous. You plan like that.
Yeah.
The amount of cronyism involved here. And also, if you're if you're trying to come up with a thing to determine whether or not the technology actually exists, why would you put somebody who is trying to profit off of it on the thing?
Yeah. Well, because he likes 1911s and thinks they're beautiful. And
he's a gun guy.
I do too. But I'm also not a piece of shit that's trying to screw everybody over by inventing some flawed crap just to meet check boxes for the
right.
And
also, what the hell are you talking about? Improved durability compared to what?
Compared to my smartphone?
No, that's the 1911's improved durability, made it a U.S. military mainstay.
Timothy,
what, of the glass swinging link, you halfwit?
Yeah, Timmy O needs to shut up.
Yeah, Tim, I want to hit him.
I do too, actually.
Yeah,
but for fun, not for violence.
I'm going to go up to him and say, "Hey, can I give you a quick slap, real quick?" And then see what he says. If he says no, I won't do it.
Yeah, we can have a beer afterwards.
Yeah. If you let me slap you, I'll buy you 1 beers.
Yeah. And they're based in New York, so shut up, Tim.
Oh.
I've had enough of this guy.
I didn't see this until just now. In the middle of this article, when they're they're waxing poetic about how it's the future and we're going to solve everything and there's not going to be any more shootings and stuff. The appeal can be summed up in one James Bond scene from Skyfall.
Saw that.
Bad guy steal Bond's guns. Bad guy tries to shoot Bond. Gun won't fire because gun only works for Bond. Bad guy eaten by Komodo dragon.
I was scanning through the article and saw Skyfall and I read it and it was just like, oh my God.
This is mouth breathing. I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Idiocracy is coming true.
I didn't know it was a documentary. It just came out too soon.
Yeah, it was 100%.
I love that movie though.
Oh, it's literally in my top 5 movies of all time.
You know what else is? Because I think it's also kind of instructive. Visioneers.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's or is it called? It's a Zach Galifianakis movie.
2008.
Yes.
Man, I've never seen it, but I'm going to watch it tonight.
Oh, it's you'll like it.
Okay, I'm gonna watch
it's gonna make you think of just oh wow, our culture sucks. That's what you're gonna think the whole time. But yeah, so yeah, New Jersey, go be America's armpit, and
they already
quietly. Yeah,
I mean, there's good people in New Jersey, but they've been trying to push this.
Oh yeah, name one.
Let's
just kidding.
Tony Simon.
No, I have friends in New Jersey. They're fine. So next up, and this is interesting because when you look at gun history, right, the same thing happens again and again and again. They're fighting over the same things. And so here, you remember SIG came out with their P365. They were very excited to possibly be relevant again.
Yeah.
All right, it's selling awesome. It's still selling awesome. Springfield comes out with their Hellcat, which I don't think is selling as awesome, but it's selling good.
Yeah, selling good.
SIG is suing them apparently over the magazine, right? They're alleging that it infringes their magazine patent.
I saw this.
The moment I see this type of stuff, the first thing I think of is how much I hate Smith & Wesson, like old school Smith & Wesson, for stunting firearms design for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? With it, we do the whole haha, But this... so what it seems like to me here, right? Everyone was super excited because they fit 10 rounds or whatever in the mag.
Yeah. And they're great.
Goes,
I carried it.
Yeah, it goes from double stack to single stack.
Yeah.
Just like a CZ75 does. But it does it much more aggressively, and they use a flat, a flat taper inside the mag to go from like very aggressively and sharply go from double to single stack. So I don't really, and it looks like they kind of have a little bit of squiggle stack going on too as they're doing that, which would probably get you an extra round out.
Yeah.
It's cool. But at the end of the day, is it really new? That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Well, yeah. Okay. I mean, they're going after Springfield Armory.
Right.
But when are they going to go after like everybody else who makes similar things? Let's not forget the Glock 48, Shield Arms. They make the S15, 15 round mag for the Glock 48, probably using a lot of the same design and engineering that all of the rest of these use. But
right.
How is this unique? And what are they suing for? Patent infringement?
Yep.
Like prior art. Like someone should be able to choose to find prior art in 5 minutes.
Mix and match. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, like, when I see that, like, yeah, it's got that squiggle stack thing going on, which might not have happened. Nobody might have used it in this way. But I remember the first time I saw the squiggle stack, which is, that's what I call, like, Glock mags are kind of squiggle stack. It was on a Walther P22. And I just looked at the way the rounds kind of, like, crossed each other. And they did that to get a couple extra rounds in. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And, moved on. Right. Stuff like, I don't know. I don't like this type of, especially in a market. I'm of two minds of it, right? One, I've studied IP law and I understand why they feel compelled to do it. If they don't police their IP, they lose it.
Yes.
On the other hand, I don't like IP. And I feel like, especially in a market where it's almost impossible to get guns, who you're really serving by, right, doing this. Of course, that's not to say that they have a duty to serve us. They are a company, like they have the right to do whatever they want. It makes me think of Smith & Wesson all those years ago, and it just makes me think, like, is this the reason development has moved so slowly, or,
Very well could be. I'm very curious to see what happens with this. Their patent was just issued on March 30th, 2021. So just a little over a month ago. And
right.
they're already out there patent trolling.
Right, yeah, smacking.
Yep, which is kind of interesting. And so here's what I hope happens. I don't really like Springfield. I don't really like SIG. So what I would really like to happen is for Springfield to prove prior art, to prove that their patent is invalid, and for SIG to lose their patent, and then for Springfield to, like, I don't know, go out of business. Like that would ideally be the situation.
Yeah, they just both cease to exist, and then we buy them at a bankruptcy sale.
Yeah, I haven't forgotten what Springfield did in Illinois a couple of years ago.
Remind me of that.
It was where they had the lobbying group that was basically trying to carve out exceptions and bad laws for Springfield. And
oh yeah,
kind of nasty.
Yep. No, history is full of snake-like behavior.
Yep.
I like this little part where the president and CEO made the statement, basically saying, SIG is not a litigious company, but given the extent of infringement by Springfield, blah, 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 we feel the need to do this. And then they're saying, oh, we're not litigious and, like, we're not really aggressive like that. And then he goes to say, as a company, we are proud to yield more than 100 patents worldwide, with more than 40 patent applications currently pending. And we will protect the extensive research and design that goes into developing these patents rigorously. So are you litigious or not, dude?
Yeah.
Like, which one?
I am curious, and I have both these guns. I'm going to take a look at the magazines side by side. I mean, maybe, perhaps, it's like a line by line copy. And if that's the case, if Springfield took the lazy way out and just copied the other magazine and put the mag release cuts in a different area, like, maybe this is fair. And I don't have them in hand, right? So I don't know, but I do also know enough about patent law that it's the way it is with guns at this point, it's pretty easy to get around. And it all depends on how they made the claims of their patent. And now there's also a chance that they made an overbroad claim.
right? Which should be struck down. But there's also a chance that they had a highly specific claim or a dependent claim that was actually infringed.
And it must be a design patent, not a utility patent, right? Because like, I don't think they'd
call it a utility patent.
You think?
No.
With all the prior art on magazines, like it would surprise me that a utility patent.
That's why I was thinking it's probably
very specific.
Well, and we don't know yet, right? But that's why I was thinking it's probably like some highly specific thing. But you know what? I'm gonna want to see. I'm gonna see if I can figure it out.
Same.
We'll investigator, boys. We talked all our shit up front, and now we're gonna go figure out what's going on.
Exactly.
Oh boy. All right. Last up, and it's interesting. This is Yahoo News. What the heck did I get this? Putin has ordered new gun laws after school shooting kills 9. Basically following a school shooting, which was done with a self-loading shotgun, Vladimir Putin immediately ordered an overhaul of the nation's gun laws to, quote, like, look into what firearms the civilians are allowed to acquire. That's all of the specificity we have here. We know that shotguns are incredibly common and popular in Russia. And in fact, there's some shotguns that you're allowed to own without much of a permit. Like I think there's some level of permit for like the base level shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, shotgun shooting is a huge sport in Russia, and so they're all over the place. But the thing that really troubles me here is the way they're talking about this. So this is happening in Russia, right? This happens all over the world, especially in Asia. They're saying, and it has happened like forever. People do bad things.
Yeah, people kill people.
U.S. style school shootings. What the hell is what's our trademark on?
Wow. I missed that one.
They said it again and again and again. U.S. style.
Huh.
What do they think? Do they go in there with like a burger and an American flag and like, but yeah, they're claiming that there's children that call themselves Columbiners in Russia.
Yeah.
Like, how much of that is true and how much of it is like media, spin? Like, are there, I would believe if there's like 5 kids who never actually do anything and like have the Columbiners, sub channel on some image board, right? But is this, I don't know. I don't know anything about Russia, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, same.
But this whole thing it's utterly bizarre and annoying in a lot of different ways. I'm chiefly annoyed with the whole U.S. style shootings.
Well, it's just sensationalization by Yahoo News.
Right. And because it always has to, come back on pushing gun control in America, even though it obviously happens.
Right. Happens in Russia, doesn't affect us in the slightest bit.
Yeah.
We would never even hear about it if the enemy media wasn't, just looking for any reason to turn people against guns. That's what it is. It's PR battle right now. Yeah.
And then looking at this, it's so, just like Russia just seems like quite an interesting place to live. This and also horrible, I'm always mortified and I hate people who, would do stuff like this. Anyone who would ever even think about, like anyone who would be a Columbiner or like respect school shooters or respect public murderers in any way is a monster.
Yep.
Right? Like we can say that straight up. But this happened at school. You know what the school was called?
No.
School number 175.
Oh.
In the semi-autonomous Republic of Tatarstan in southern Russia.
Well, sounds, it's very catchy name.
Yeah. This was it was a Hudson Escort self-loading shotgun, which I think is the, I think we get those here too.
Yeah. I think I have a Hudson somewhere.
Yeah. I think they're the AK style ones.
Yeah. I'm sure of it. It totally rings a bell, but yeah, bad people do bad things in lots of places. It's not just America, but I love how now they're trying to take what happens in Russia and blame it on the US, or at least, I don't know, make it a cut.
Yeah, see here, they're going to do the opposite of what we were talking about doing. The Russian parliament has already considered a law designed to punish doctors for misdiagnosing patients or giving firearms permits to people with mental health issues.
Yeah.
The trouble is you can also buy a psychologist's medical certificate for less than $20 online.
Right, but also now they're gonna now they'll be just refusing everyone.
Right.
Yeah. Fear of litigation.
You're gonna have to up your bribe.
Yeah, forget it.
Yep.
I'm out.
Yeah. The head of the Sova Center, which monitors radical youth groups, told the Daily Beast his organization has tracked several social media groups created by Russian teens devoted to fetishizing the Columbine High School massacre.
Get off 4chan, bro.
Yeah. This is God, it's so weird.
I know. This article is weird and off-putting.
Yeah. Like, it's just very...
When was there ever a murder in Russia that was covered in this way?
Right, like, and that's what I want to know. I want to know, like, I wonder if, like, before Columbine, right? Well, before Columbine, like, we didn't really make these types of things a media frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder when they started calling these people Columbiners in Russia. That's what I wonder.
Yeah. Probably.
Was it recent?
A week ago is my guess.
Yeah, I don't know. But like that all, kind of tends toward the question of what's going on here. And also, I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, they always said that Putin was, best friends with, Trump. Maybe Biden should get on the phone with the guy and congratulate him.
Right. I bet he wouldn't even take his call.
Oh, international politics are weird.
Yeah, they are.
Well, that's all of the sad news we have for you guys.
Oh, good. That's great news. So, like, what is that noise? What do I hear? I hear something that's very pleasant. Sounds like Velcro. It sounds like patches.
Oh my God, it actually stuck.
Oh, yeah, they stick in beards really well. I'm going to be a patch wall for Halloween. Put it on my back hair. All right, so now he has 2 patches on his face.
Can we get all 3?
We're going to find out.
Let's find out.
We're dang well going to find out. Got my little Armalite. It's dangerous to go alone to take this, and Thumper all on his beard. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a world record here. Somebody called Guinness, and completely unrelated, but getting a world record is extremely difficult. I've submitted several ideas to Guinness, and they have declined all of them.
Oh, like your ideas for like first whatever?
Yeah.
What were they?
I wanted to do longest podcast. We were going to podcast for 48 hours straight. They declined that, even though it's not a record, and even though it was mentioned in multiple places. But yes, they have declined my request to proxy the longest podcast, and I don't know, just other dumb stuff that literally I'm not surprised that they did deny. But longest podcast was the one that I actually thought that they wouldn't deny. But anyway,
most Skittles in an eye socket.
That would be impressive. While the eye is still in,
right? Or yeah, in an eyelid, I should have said.
Most patches on a beard.
Yeah.
And those patches from Patriot Patch Co.
Yep.
I don't know.
Most Patriot Patch Co. brand patches on a beard.
Exactly.
Pester Guinness today, and consider joining the Patch of the Month Club. And then after several months, you too can have enough patches to contend with the greatest.
But you have a head start on them, so they're going to have to go black market patches.
Yeah.
So I think that, if you can get Guinness to approve that, it's going to be the one. And that would be amazing.
Yeah.
What's the website?
patriotpatch.co. And then you're going to put into the code section, you're going to put in a twig 10, and then you'll see you're going to get a little something special. It's from me.
All right.
It's from me.
Damn, that's awesome. How nice of you.
I know.
You are a generous God.
That's what I do with my all of my winnings from my fame as world's most patch beard.
Wonderful, wonderful, man. Anything else before we go?
I think that's it. Shawn, I mean, you got anything coming up?
Man, no.
All right, everybody. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see you all real soon, hopefully with some better news.